Did you hear me waving? I'm Casey, and this is my pal, Rudy McHootles.
Hoo-hoo!
You know, Rudy, everyone wants to just fit in. Everyone wants to just be a part of something and be loved. And our story today is about the sweetest little fur friend. It's called Mio, written and illustrated by Stacy, Erin Myers. And look, some friends are excited to hear all about Mio. Hi, Grace. Hi, Gemma. Hi, Jack. Hi, Henry. Let's get started. I know a little dog that looks like a rabbit or maybe a mouse, who once didn't have a home to call her own house. She was lonely and sad and misunderstood. She didn't like what she looked like. She thought no one would. Her ears are too big and her tail too upright. She really was a funny first sight. Her name is Mio, and she weighed just a pound. A tiny little dog who never made a sound. Mio once lived in a shelter, in a box cold and gray. A lonely place, a sad place, with no room to play. She dreamed of a family to want her one day, to adopt her, love her, and whisk her away. Mio's family finally did come. It was not just a dream. She was scooped up and loved up, and it was as real as it seemed. She saw her new home, a lovely first sight, with a welcome red door, much to Mio's delight. She slept warm that first night in her new cozy bed, with toys and a blanket and the sound of tick-tock above her head. Mio awoke the next morning, feeling quite blessed. She yawned and stretched and excited to meet the rest. The dog and cat were happy to find a really cute pup, so they really didn't mind. They sniffed and examined their new little friend and seemed to like her. It was not pretend. Up on her hind legs, Mio sat for inspection. The cat and dog had no objection. The dog woofed and the cat went mew. Mio then knew she was part of the crew. A family it was, with a Mr. and Mrs. who fed her and loved her and gave her sweet kisses. A cat and a dog and even some mice. Mio was happy at last, and it felt really nice. As days passed by and Mio's voice didn't debut, the dog and the cat didn't know what to do. The Mr. and Mrs. didn't worry one bit. Mio, they thought, was a perfect fit. They always knew that Mio, who looked like a rabbit or even a mouse, would one day be a watchdog and watch over their house. Her Mr. and Mrs. thought she just needed some time. Mio would eventually be just fine. They didn't really care if she stayed mute. She was, after all, so incredibly cute. But they did wonder if Mio would fear the big black crows once they kicked into gear. The crows were annoying, everyone agreed, but the raccoons make a bigger racket at night in the trees, and they peered through the windows like bandits and thieves. The crows showed up the very next day and caw-cawed at Mio when she got in their way. They pecked at her tail and her big ears too, showing Mio just who was who. Bullies they were, this was true. A few more pecks, then off they flew. She stayed quiet while deciding what to do. The crows would come back, this Mio knew. As if the crows were not enough, soon the raccoons came to give her some guff. They came that night with their black masks on and peeked and peered from dusk till dawn. Mio quietly watched the bandits throughout the night, making a ruckus to their heart's delight. Again, she didn't make a sound while deciding what to do. The raccoons won't stop. This Mio also knew. The house was in chaos as the clock struck midnight, while the Mr. and Mrs. in their beds slept tight, not realizing what goes on in the still of the night. Mio was surrounded in the middle of the floor, surrounded by mice galore. The raccoons clattered the windows, and the mice scampered about. Mio knew she desperately needed some clout. The dog and the cat slept soundly without worry, while Mio needed a plan in a hurry. Mio was thinking as she watched at bay, what could she possibly have to say? She thought and fretted, should she squeak or just yelp? What could she do to be some kind of help? She knew in her heart a watchdog she was not, but her duty was called, watchdog or not. This was not right, this Mio knew. Then she remembered the wolf and the mew. Her tail went up, and her ears went up too. At last Mio knew exactly what to do. She ran through the house and jumped over the mice and let out a sound of her own device. It sounded funny and didn't make sense and came out quite awkward and very immense. It wasn't a wolf or even a mew. It was something different, something brand new. Meow was the sound that came out in a roar. No one expected it. That was for sure. Mio fell back on her tail as the meow was so strong. This was the sound inside her, stuck for so long. The meow was so loud it was heard from afar. It was mostly unique, loud, and bizarre. The dog and cat couldn't figure anything out, as the mice were frantic, running all about. If no one heard right, and just in case, Mio let out another meow and was in charge of the place. The raccoons jumped the fence, and the mice ran about, and Mio then realized she did have some clout. Mio proved her will and her mighty might, and set things straight in the middle of the night. With the yard intact and no mice taking over, Mio was proud as there was no more disorder. As for her Mr. and Mrs., they are now in awe of their little black dog that laid down the law. The dog and the cat figured out who's the boss. It's the little black dog no one dare cross. There's one thing for certain, all the critters now know. The watchdog who looks like a rabbit or even a mouse, whose bark is a meow, is now in charge of this house. Yep, every critter, whether great or small, has a purpose. Who? And ours, well, it's just to spread a little love through the magic of words and stories. So till next time, bye.